Okay, so here I have a painting of Hasbulla dressed as Napoleon on the back of a capybara. Now, this painting represents the French revolutionary spirit. And today we're going to talk about another revolutionary type character, Gary Stevenson, aka Gary's Economics. Now, Gary is right on many things. He's right that the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, the middle class are getting ripped out, and more money is going to large, big businesses and wealthy individuals. And they are consolidating this wealth and they are hoarding this wealth rather than spending it. And this is a problem for the economy. Now, Gary has a very, very sexy solution to this. His solution is simple: taxing wealth. And I agree, this is a good idea. His idea looks like this, something like this: a 2% tax on all net wealth over 10 million. So as you can see, this would affect the mega wealthy, not the wealthy, but the wealthy. You know what I'm saying? So this is a great idea. It gets money out of this hoarded wealth pile and brings it back into the economy. I like this idea, but there are other issues that need to be addressed first. We need to look at what's happening that also needs fixing. This is not a one bullet solution, right? One of the issues is government spending, right? So the thing is, it will be the same in your country. I'm going to use the UK as an example, but this is happening in every Western country at the moment. It's the same story everywhere. The percentage of GDP, basically the percentage of the money the country makes, the percentage usually is about 35 to 33% baseline of that money goes to the government and the government spending. So 35%. But since COVID, this has increased to 42%, right? Drastically. So in 2025, we are now giving more and more money to the government, and the government are spending more and more money. Tax revenue is up 5%. So we are giving the government more money. Now, let me ask you, are things getting better in your country or worse? Are public services getting better in your country or worse? See, so there's something going on, right? There's some issue going on. One of the issues, out of many of the problems that are happening, is outsourcing, right? The governments are outsourcing tasks to private companies, usually large companies, giving out contracts and so forth. In the UK, for example, in 2018, we used to spend £267 billion on procurement contracts to businesses. Now, in 2023, we give 341 billion out. So that's an increase of 28%. So the government are outsourcing more and more of the tasks to private companies. And as you can see, this doesn't seem to be working out very well. Another issue with this is, with the outsourcing, previously, the outsourcing money used to go to smaller businesses, and this would help redistribute wealth, right? But now, a lot of this money goes to preferred supplier lists, goes to preferred suppliers, and usually the preferred suppliers are giant companies that are aligned with BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Now, again, this seems like some sort of conspiracy theory, but you can look at it yourself. The government is giving more and more money to large businesses that are aligned with with BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Less contracts are going out, more money is going out. So as you can see, there's another issue at play. We're giving the government more money, and they're spending more money on large preferred suppliers. But it seems like this, it's not like there's some sort of government collusion or anything. It's not like politicians are working with these companies in any way, right? Well, I'm going to pick on one example, but there are many examples. I'm going to pick on George Osborne, right? George Osborne, politician in the UK, he was getting paid £650,000 a year while in office. So while he was a politician, he was getting paid £650,000 a year. That wasn't his wages, though. That was BlackRock. BlackRock were paying him £650,000 a year. Now, the thing is, look, I can't say legally that George Osborne was doing anything corrupt. I can't say that maybe he was working as an insider for BlackRock in any way. I can't say that maybe He influenced government spending to go towards preferred suppliers that are aligned with BlackRock. I can't say any of that. But what I can say is £650,000 is a lot of money. So it does look, when you look at the big picture, it does look like there's something going on, right? There's something else that needs fixing. It almost looks like the government are happily selling you out. And now that's a very pessimistic view, I suppose, but let's look at something else, right? For example, let's see if the government is actually working in your best interest. Now, in the UK, we used to have 6.5 million council properties in 1979. So the government owned these properties. In the UK, what happened is with council properties, the government would own these properties and would distribute them to people that needed them. It was lower rents and it worked out very well. Now, in 2025, we have less than 2 million. So the government have sold over 4.5 million properties to companies, private investors, and individuals. Now, in the UK, it's actually not that bad as other countries. Not as bad as Germany, for example. We don't have a lot of houses in the hands of large corporations. In fact, Granger PLC are the biggest one, I think, and they only own about 10,000 properties. Oh, by the way, guess who owns Granger PLC? Yeah, 20% or something of Granger PLC is owned by these companies, of course. So it's not that big of an issue at the moment. At the moment, it's about 5% of properties in the UK are owned by large businesses or these kind of corporate entities. But this number is growing exponentially. Like, is that the right word? Exponentially? It's growing, right? It's growing at a rapid rate. It's almost like a new phenomenon within the UK. And this issue is going to get worse and worse. So this is an issue that needs addressing as well. And also this shows how it seems like the government don't care, right? We know this. It's easy to pick on the government, but when they're doing stuff like this and they're giving more money to big business and they're working with big business, there's what? Something else needs addressing. And that's why I'm doing like these videos in a way, because the more I look at this, it can be quite demoralizing. I look at this and I go, oh, there's nothing you can do. This is too big to fix. But when I see this tax, 2% tax on net wealth, I see it as like a move in a positive direction. But the thing is, as long as we have issues like this, as long as we have politicians that are earning lots and lots of money, they're not going to bring in a tax like this because it would affect them and the companies they work for, you see? So that's why I think there's a good way. We should look at alternatives and other things to fix first. For example, to fix this, I think that we should have ownership caps. It would be something simple like no company or individual can own over 1,000 properties. I think a nice law like that would prevent the monopolization of property within the UK before it even starts, right? And also, we need to obviously fix this kind of government collusion. Now, we have watchdogs and stuff like this that look at these to keep an eye on politicians to make sure they're not doing anything nefarious. But is it working? No. So there should be some sort of law to prevent politicians from working with companies and prevent them from working with companies after they've left office as well. Because a lot of them they won't have that conflict of interest while they're a politician, but all of a sudden they get multi-million-pound contracts when they leave office. There's lots of this going on that needs addressing. So, yeah, like I said, it can be quite demoralizing, but I think we should look at other options as well. There are other problems that need addressing first. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. This is fun. This is fun to me.